Hi there, and welcome to La Rosa Reads. I'm Denise La Rosa, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun by me sharing with all of you my worst fiction reads according to Goodreads. Let's do this. So you guys, not too long ago, I did a video on my 20 best fiction reads according to Goodreads, and that video was inspired by Riley Marie. Today I'm going to flip the script. Is that still a phrase? It's like cool? Whatevs. I'm going to flip it and reverse it like Missy Elliott and share with you my 20 worst fiction reads according to Goodreads. Now notice I'm getting a little spicy already by saying according to Goodreads with like the finger and all the things, because there are some surprises here. Like some of my all-time favorite reads, according to Goodreads, are the absolute worst. Like what? Let's dive into this. So here's how I discovered what my worst fiction reads have been, at least according to Goodreads. All right, so you go to the Goodreads app or website. You see your home page and all of that good stuff. You tap on My Books or click, and then you go to your read category. From there, you sort by average rating, and you tap reverse, and that will reveal your worst reads. I decided to focus on my worst fiction reads. This whole thing that I'm doing here with the best and the worst according to Goodreads, I wanted it to be about my fiction reads as opposed to nonfiction. But, you know, let's see what's going on with my worst reads. So I compiled this list a while ago, and even as I was scrolling to give you all the step-by-step as to how I discovered what my worst fiction reads were, I noticed there were some new worst added to my list since I compiled this list. But let's just stick to what I have prepared for and see what my worst reads have been according to Goodreads. I'm already heated. Coming in at number 20 is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Now I'm heated. The coffee may be cold, but I'm hot under the collar over this one. So Before the Coffee Gets Cold has a 3.75 rating on Goodreads, and I just think it's a travesty. This book is, in my humble opinion, absolutely delicious, superb, supreme, sublime. It is all the things. I don't know why it's so lowly rated, and I'm not happy about it. Whew. I'm gonna have to do some deep breathing meditation for this one, because coming in at number 19 for my worst fiction read ever according to Goodreads is one of my beloved books, Black Book by Matteo Ascaripour. What is happening, y'all? This book is just sheer perfection. So let me back it up and just name the fact that yes, this book receives very mixed reviews. And I think it's because Matteo takes such a big risk. You can't put this book in one category. It encompasses a number of categories and has so many twists and turns. But y'all, that's what kept me turning the pages. So I am not happy about this being one of my worst fiction reads according to Goodreads. I consider it one of my best reads ever. So take that, Goodreads. And at number 18, we have Everything Inside. This was a collection of short stories that I actually gave a 5-star, maybe 4.5-star review whenever I read it in 2020. I absolutely found this collection of short stories to be very intriguing and fully being invested in each one. I felt like each short story had the ability to be a full novel on its own, and I felt like the author gave us just enough to leave us curious and wanting more, but also feeling satisfied. So shame on y'all for giving this a what rating? Let me see. 3.73. I would have given it a 4.5. So, but apparently I don't know my good books from my bad ones if I'm looking at Goodreads. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House is coming in at number 17, and You know, this book was very triggering. I think it should have had a trigger warning. I loved this book, and yet it was a heavy book and very hard to read. Sometimes I had to just close it and put it away. I tend to read at night, and sometimes it would take me a while to go to sleep because we're dealing with domestic violence and abuse and murder. There is a lot happening, yet it's all meaningful and purposeful towards the goal of where the story ultimately ends and where it goes. So I didn't feel like it was just like all about the shock value. And I'm really sad that it's coming in at number 7 as one of my worst fiction reads. I would highly disagree with that one. Mercy Street is number 16 with a 3.71 rating on Goodreads. This book by Jennifer Haig is one that is really delving into the topic, the hot button issue of abortion. I think that could be one of the reasons why this is lowly rated. I also think it's fairly new, and this author while this author is so talented and well-known and just a stellar author, they're not like an Emily Henry or, I don't know, Colleen Hoover. All the authors that you hear about a lot. And I feel like we're at a day and age of books where those authors are taking over, and by default other lesser known authors with maybe not as much backing for marketing and promotion just can't get going, or they don't get the reviews that they deserve. This book was one of Oprah Daly's top 20, I believe, books that people should read if they're wanting to really dive into the topic of abortion and learn more and really dive more deeply into that topic. So I love that Jennifer Haig got promotion in that way. I liked this book for what its purpose was and what it gave to the reader. It is a fiction piece, and I think it challenged me and pushed me to see the humanity in everyone. The anti-abortion folks, and then also the pro-choice. You see the why behind those beliefs, and that lets you see the humanity in people. So this is not a 3.71 read. This should be rated higher. All right, Embassy Wife. It deserves to be on this list. It was very meh, and it's coming in here at number 15 with a rating of 3.69. We can keep it moving because I concur. Oh, The House on Mango Street is number 14 with a rating of 3.68. The House on Mango Street is actually in my office at work. I have a whole library in my office, surprise, surprise. And so any books that are relevant and accessible for our young people around issues of equity and inclusion and diversity, I house those personal books of mine in my office. And I think this book is a classic. I'm not quite sure why it's so lowly rated. It's a collection of short stories. I found it to be just right for our young people to read, to lean into understanding someone that maybe has a different lived experience than them. So that's a bummer. Yes, y'all. Okay. Goodreads, you're in my good graces now, because at number 13 is You Exist Too Much with a rating of 3.68. All right, y'all know how much I love A. Marie from A. Marie's Book Club. I feel like A. Marie, like, boo, are your ears itching, as that saying goes, because I talk about her all the time. This was an A. Marie's Book Club selection back in 2020, and it was at a time when we were in the thick of the pandemic. We were in quarantine, and I mean, as soon as A. Marie said what her book club selection was for the month, I was just clicking away and ordering that book to be delivered to my house. You Exist Too Much was one of those books. It was a disappointment for me. It tried to do too much and yet didn't do enough as far as character development. The main character ends up in a recovery, like, kind of setting. I don't know if it was Alcoholics Anonymous or drugs. I can't even remember. But she was in a group therapy and was like, it was a housing experience for her. So she was there on site for a while. And it was just kind of like, what are you trying to do? like you being the author. Like, I'm not quite sure where we're going with this. I just found myself struggling to get through it, and I tried to forget about it. So You Exist Too Much needs to cease from existing in my head. Oh, wow. Another A. Marie's Book Club selection, number 12, is Pure Color with a rating of 3.65. I think, like I said in some videos prior when I talked about this book, you have to be a very specific type of book reader in order to appreciate this book. It is very avant-garde. It's very different. It pushes your line of thinking. It pushes you outside of your comfort zone as far as ways in which we as human beings think about the world and life as we know it. So I could see this being a little off-putting to some folks who just don't get it. And even though I didn't get everything about Pure Color, I appreciated it, I loved it, and I was really thankful for the reading experience. So that's a bummer, but you win some, you lose some. Woo! This thing is like a ghost. Oh my Lord, no one is talking about this. Please go away. I got rid of that book in my unhaul, and here it is appearing on this list, which I'm kind of thankful because it's like, yeah, people, this book is just no good. No one's talking about it because it is a hot, filthy mess. It came in at number 11 with a rating of 3.61. I gave it a negative 3.61. So how you like them apples? So now we're in our top 10. And why am I smiling? I am so ridiculous. I was voted friendliest girl in high school, so please know that about me. I don't know why I'm smiling talking about the worst fiction books, because this is kind of sad for the authors, and some of these are sad for me, but it reminds me of the time when I was in high school and we were grading each other's tests. You know, like back in the day when you could trade. You probably can't do that now. It's not equitable, or it's probably not even legal, but you would exchange papers, and this was like a test, and we graded each other's tests, and this dude got like a 40%, and I wrote sorry and put a smiley face on it, and he flipped me the bird, but like I was seriously sorry. So I'm kind of smiling like, sorry authors, but your books are like the worst according to Goodreads. Moving along, number 10, The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. And y'all, I'm just saying, like, this is one of several Jasmine Guillory books that lands in this list of mine. It came in with a rating of 3.60. People either love Jasmine Guillory in romance, or they just think that it's very subpar. I love Jasmine Guillory because Girlfriend does exactly what she intended to do. Like, she knows the assignment. Like, romance to me is flirty, it's fun, it's sexy, it's an escape. And she delivers on all of those fronts. So don't hate, congratulate. Oh yeah, at number 9 is Eat, Pray, Love with a rating of 3.60. I read this, oh my Lord, have I been on Goodreads that long? Maybe I was going back in my backlog, because I read that thing like as soon as it was released, because Oprah said, read this book, and y'all know how I feel about Lady O. So yeah, I felt like it was much hyped, and it was overly hyped. I read it, and I remember reading it, trying to get myself revved up for it, being like, yes, this is deep. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, I like this. But subconsciously, I was like, this book isn't given. Like, I mean, that wasn't the phrase at the time, but I was like, this is okay. And I still believe that. So, you know, none of these authors should complain, because a lot of them still made bank. So, you know, it is what it is. Oh, what a shame. Outlawed is number 8 with a rating, an average rating of 3.56. It was good, and I've talked about it before, so we can keep it moving and just say, too bad, too sad for you. Oh, number 7, another A. Marie's Book Club. Y'all, stop giving A. Marie's Book Club a hard time. These are some good books. The Last Story of Mina Lee, number 7, with an average rating of 3.54. I was thinking it was going to be a little deeper, a little more profound, and it tended to stay at the surface level, yet I felt like it did enough by staying on the surface level. It made me think. It made me feel entertained. It made me wonder what was going to happen next. So I didn't consider it a loss at all. And I passed it along to one of my besties, Katie, to read, and she also loved it. So shame on you, Goodreads. Ain't nothing wrong with Mina Lee. We need a moment for this. I am simply devastated that Half Blown Rose is landing at number 6 for the worst fiction read I've ever read according to Goodreads, with a rating of 3.52. Why? Like, this book is a contender for my favorite book of the year of 2022. Like, why? Why, y'all? Why y'all not loving this book? I need answers. Somebody in the comments, like, tell me why? Why? Why do you not like Half Blown Rose? Why? Why do you do it that way? Number 5 is Liberty with an average rating of 3.51. I concur. My boo, Jasmine Guillory, came back, baby, but I don't think this is the list she wants to return to again and again. But she came back with Royal Holiday. Number 4, an average rating of 3.50. It was fine, y'all. Like, relax. Stop trying to be so literary and scholarly and just enjoy the romance. Enjoy the fun stuff and don't take yourself and these books too seriously. I think that's what's happening with Jasmine Guillory's books. Boom, bam, boom. Then Jasmine Guillory comes back at number 3 with The Proposal. Like, why y'all gotta do my girl this way? A rating, average rating of 3.49. I love The Proposal. We need to just leave Jasmine Guillory alone. Just calm yourselves, people, and just dive into her books and see them for what they are. They are delightful. All right, we are ending on a high note, or should I say low note, because the top 2 books for my worst fiction reads according to Goodreads, I have to wholeheartedly agree. Number 2 is Better Together. It came in with an average rating of 3.43, and I remember whenever I read this book in March, I was like, it's a 3. It did, it's high. I didn't have high expectations. I didn't even know who the author was, but apparently the author is a booktuber, one of the originals. And, whatevs. Like, it was fine. Meh. I unhauled it like that, so I could see why it comes in at number 2. And we need to celebrate, because we're all on the same page, Goodreads friends. Whenever I say coming in at number 1 for the worst fiction read I have ever read since the beginning of my time on Goodreads is The Other Black Girl with an average rating of 3.42. To say this book is horrific would be an understatement. To say this book is a complete and utter disaster would be generous. To say this book was subpar, it would be the equivalent of saying Milli Vanilli was great and earned that Grammy. Do you get what I'm saying? This book absolutely sucked. It was horrible. And I feel kind of bad because my friend Katie loved it. And as I was reading in the beginning, I was kind of like, okay. And it just kept taking one turn and another turn and another turn, and not in the way that Black Buck did. These were turns for the worst. Hair grease being a secret potion for Black women that turns them into Black women who have no backbone and makes them complicit in the dominant societal norms. And then the main character joins them. Like, get it out of my head. I don't want to think about it anymore. Whoo, that book. It totally deserves to be considered the absolute worst book I've ever read. And so Goodreads, you came through with that one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All All right. Yeah, that concludes my video on the top 20 worst fiction reads I've read according to Goodreads. So what are your worst fiction reads that you've read according to Goodreads? Follow those instructions that I gave you at the beginning of the video and then hop over into the comments below and let me know what are your top 5 worst fiction reads according to Goodreads. Also, stick around and check out some more of my videos like this lovely one up here, the best fiction reads I've read according to Goodreads. And let's keep this party going. I absolutely love all of you. Thank you for taking the time to be with me today. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.